Good afternoon, everybody. Shavua Tov. Welcome to a new week and welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land. I'm Raylene Marks, your host, bringing you the top stories from Israel and the Middle East every Monday to Thursday on this platform and also on our YouTube channel. And it really helps get Israel's story out to the world if you subscribe, so please click on that big red subscribe button. But let's get right to it. It's been a very, very newsy couple of weeks in the state of Israel, and that just continues. This morning, U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo arrived in the country for talks about the normalization of ties in the region. And while we don't have too much information about that, we do know that his next stop is the Sudan. The Sudan, quite controversially, a member of the foreign ministry came out a couple of weeks ago saying they would look at normalizing ties with the Jewish state, saying there's no reason for hostilities. However, that person was fired and a new spokesman was put in their place. Was it because they weren't authorized to speak? Well, we're about to find out soon. And this comes after Israel's ambassador to the United States, Ron Dermer, wrote in an op-ed over the past weekend that expect another Arab country to normalize ties soon. However, the Moroccan Prime Minister has said that his country will not be normalizing ties with the State of Israel, saying that this just emboldens the fight against the Palestinians having their rights. But you know, the sands are shifting. We didn't see a peace agreement or normalization agreement with the UAE coming for a while, and here it is, and here are other states talking about the possibility. So let's see what the week ahead holds. Now, last night, after much deliberation, debates, reservations, and a lot of very, very heated discussion, the Knesset finally reached agreement to put forward a bill that would delay the passing or the voting on a budget. This is very, very important. The deadline for the budget would have been tomorrow. This is now being delayed, and this is very important because it also helps push back what could have been the fourth set of elections in less than 2 years. So gratitude to the Knesset from saving us from another election cycle, but very, very important that we get those budgets passed. And just an interesting little tidbit of information, I don't know if it's related to coronavirus, it possibly could be, but today marks 365 days since there have been no deaths of civilians as a result of terror attacks in Israel. And this is the first time that this has happened since 1964. At the end of last week, a story broke across the country that has just revolted and dismayed many. It's also made headlines across many newspapers across the world. And this is the story of an alleged rape of a 16-year-old girl in the southern town of Eilat, and she's alleged to have been raped by 30 men. There is a lot of conjecture on this number, but what we do know, the latest updates we have, is that 7 have been arrested, all minors, which means they're all underage, as well as the hotel manager, who has been arrested for not doing anything to prevent this attack. The owners of the hotel have also been taken in for questioning and for warning. This brings in total, including 2 who were arrested last week, they in their late 20s, this brings to a total 11 people who have been arrested for the alleged rape. And evidence has come out that does corroborate her testimony. This is a story that we will be following. Also, protests have taken place across the country since the incident took place, and have been attended by many, including women's rights groups. In fact, 2 leading women's rights groups, WITO, the Women's International Zionist Organization, and Na'amat, have released statements strongly condemning the rape and asking and appealing to the government to start intervening on these kind of gender-based violence incidents. So those are the top stories making headlines. Don't forget to check out our original content up on our website at www.layoftheland.com. Online. While we are talking about protest, you can read about Karmi Gilon. He was the former head of the Shin Bet or Shabak, who was arrested recently during protests outside the Prime Minister's office. You can also check out our Facebook page at Lottel Site. Our community there is growing, and if you're not a part of it, please give us a like or a follow. We just want to welcome you. Also a reminder about our YouTube channel at the Israel Brief. Don't forget to click on that big red subscribe button. And we're also on Twitter, and we love to interact with you. So if you're on Twitter, please give us a follow, maybe say hi. We're at Lay of the Land with the digit 5. Those are the top stories making headlines on this Monday afternoon. I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief. We'll speak again tomorrow.